Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Cuban Nostalgia here, and Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen is now on early access. And if you take a look at some of the comments, it's people are less than excited about it. It's mostly positive over here, but 71%. It's kind of rough. It's kind of dipping dipping down now. I've had my criticism of Visionary Realms over the years. There's things that they've done that I do not like, and if I see something that I think is BS, I'm going to call you out on it, and I don't really care who you are. It's just the way that I am. But the past year, I really think these guys have buckled down and have gotten serious, especially after the blowback from that alternate game mode they wanted to do. Is like, I can't remember what it was. It's like something like Capture the Flag, but not. You guys know what I'm talking about. For some reason, it escapes my mind right now. Probably because it's so, it's so uninteresting to me that I just don't remember what it even is. But you got all sorts of criticism being thrown at these guys, and it's a little rough right now. And so somebody said right here, which I thought was kind of funny: Pantheon, Cope of the Boomer. What's with all the people lining up to be fleeced? What's with the basement trolls at mom's house defending a cash grab that died with the founder? See, now, this kind of crap. Listen, man, you're always going to have two sides, and I'm taking the piss a little bit right here. I'm kind of, if I see people shit posting, sometimes I'll throw my hat in the ring. It's like buy it or don't buy it. You know what I mean? Complaining about it's just, It doesn't really change anything, and I've been guilty of that before in the past myself. And you got another one over here. Don't do it if you like maps in your game, and this is not for you, as there are no maps. If you like quest markers in your game, this is not for you. No quest markers. If you like to walk around aimlessly, this is for you. All right. Well, I've got news for you, DJK Dark Goth. Old school MMORPGs are not for you. That's all. They're not for you. And that's okay. Not everything that comes out has to be a WoW clone or, New World or something like that. If you don't like this formula, that's fine. But people have known for 10 years that that's exactly what this game was aiming to do. And I've told this story multiple times in the past, that one of the coolest things about EverQuest Online Adventures when I got into it back in 2003 was there was no map. I had to rely on people telling me where to go, and at the time was frustrating, I admit, and it can still be very frustrating, but the end reward is very satisfying because there's this crazy thing that happens. If a game is too easy, you just get bored, and it's just kind of flaky and you leave. If a game is too hard, you can get frustrated and leave, but if it's at that spot, which I believe early MMOs were, where it was hard, but you could still overcome it, especially if you lean on the community, then it's vastly more rewarding than something where you just follow markers to the next exclamation mark, and then you clean up all the quests in the zone like WoW, and then you're off to the next zone, and it's just like on rails, cookie cutter type theme park stuff. I mean, that stuff is fun if you're in the mood for that. That's fine, but it's more rewarding. These older games are more rewarding for people who were into that. If you're not into that, that's fine. It takes a certain mentality to get into a classic MMO. If you want to jump both feet in and be like a badass right away, this isn't for you. If you like the struggle of killing cockroaches and spiders and bats, and then eventually you're killing giants and dragons, etc., like 2 or 3 weeks later or more, then this is a game for you. I don't think that there's really been any confusion about that, so complaining about this is just, that's on him, that he didn't do the research. So if he bought this, which I don't see that he has it, maybe he refunded it, then that's on you, man. Anybody who complains about this, it just seems kind of silly to me. That's like jumping into Resident Evil 1 and saying, damn it, why isn't this a shooter? How come this isn't like Resident Evil 4 and all the other ones? Well, because it's a different genre, man. And that's all right. Not everything is for everybody. But for some of you who might be new to Pantheon, you might not understand where this negativity is coming from. I want to take you way back. And it didn't just start with Pantheon, but it didn't help with the Kickstarter era. It was a bit of a mess. But before that, we had a game called Vanguard. And Vanguard didn't do very well. And, there's a whole lot of people who are still very upset about Vanguard coming out in the state that it came out. Now, I've always said that Vanguard had a very good core, and I always thought Vanguard was a lot of fun, but it was unpolished, and things didn't go well during the development, right? There's a lot of controversy about Brad McQuaid and how when things got kind of tough, he got a little flaky, he wasn't around, right? And there was some controversy surrounded Pantheon because Brad took out some of the money I don't even remember what he did with it, but he took some of the money out and it pissed off a whole bunch of people, including people that were on the team. Somebody wrote a very lengthy letter. I think she was a wife of somebody who was working there at the time. So there's this seething old school animosity in the background behind this game. Okay, that's just the way it is. And I remember when the Kickstarter failed, I think it was called the Rerolled Forums. You had the Rerolled Forums, and they were just trashing all over Brad. They were dragging up his personal life and any of the demons that he might have struggled with in his life. I'm not going to go into detail about this stuff. Some of you know what I'm talking about, but it was brutal. And I remember defending him and defending, his vision for this game and telling people, look, if you're on board, then you're on board. If you're not, you're not. I don't see a reason to trash this guy. Nobody's perfect. All right, people make mistakes. Let's see where this goes and, where it takes us in the future. Unfortunately, Brad McQuaid passed away some years ago. I don't even remember the year. It's been a while now, at least 4 or 5 years. But yeah, I've always liked him. I've talked to Brad before. I've had him on my social media, etc., on my friends list and whatnot. And he seems like he was a genuine guy. And his vision for this game isn't exactly the way that it's turning out right now. I think that it's been changed a little bit. But I have to give these guys credit because the past year they really strapped down and started hustling. And, like I said, they had blowback from that alternate game mode. It was huge. People were not happy. And they've taken a substantial amount of money from the community. And it's going on 10 plus years. And now that it's in early access, personally, I wish that they would have waited for a few years, but it is what it is. I'm kind of worried about Monsters and Memories with that as well, because early access is kind of a double-edged sword, in my opinion. Yes, it helps to fund you and push things along, but if you're having wipes, I don't think Monsters and Memories plans on wipes. Maybe they do, but I think when they launch for early access, they're not going to have, and that's neither here nor there. Pantheon is going to have wipes. And a lot of people don't like that, okay? And that's understandable. But it, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. People are gonna, sometimes they're gonna get all into the game, and then when the game comes out and it's a lot better and ironed out, they're already gone. They're long gone. They took off like a year or two before. They came in, they didn't like what they saw, and they don't come back. That's a risk, right? But at the same time, it helps to get the game moving a little bit quicker because people are getting the funding that they need to make it happen. So it's going to be interesting seeing how this game plays out. And I've always said, even regardless of the problems that I've had personally with Visionary Realms, and there have been many of them, I've always said that I wish them the best of luck, and I still do. Why? Because if this game comes out and it's a win for the classic MMORPG community, period, across the board. Despite any old animosity or any old grudges to bear, I don't care about any of that shit. Whatever, okay? If this comes out and it's a success, awesome. It's one more game for us to play. We don't have a lot as classic MMORPG fans right now. That's starting to change. Like I said, we've got Monsters and Memories coming. We've got Evercraft coming, which I've reviewed. I wouldn't say review it, but I played a little bit of their alpha test, and that game is awesome. I'm really loving what they're doing with that so far, aside from a couple of things I'm not really going to talk about, but you guys probably know. It's in the beginning of the video. I had a little bit of a gripe with the character creator. I don't want to get into that right now, but I think that the future is bright for fans of this genre, and it is a niche genre. It's a niche fan base. It's just the way it is. It's not going to be all things for all people, right? And there's people, they want a map, right? They're like, give us a map. I want this map. And I can see where they're coming from, but at the same time, personally, I'm all right with them not having a map. Now, if I have to navigate to something and check a map, that's fine. That doesn't really bother me that much. Some people like it, some people don't. It's just the way it is. But you're going to have people who are vehemently opposed to this game, and I want you to be completely aware of that before you have anything to do with this community. You're going to get people who just are going to call you all sorts of names if you back this thing up. And that's just the way it is with gaming in general anymore. And it's been that way for a while. I mean, think about the console wars back in the day, right? Genesis does what Nintendo don't. I remember back, I must have been in like 3rd grade when people were complaining about, nah, Sega's better. No, Nintendo's better. My dad can beat up your dad. It's just stupid, but that's how people are. It's like picking a sports team or something. But I will say this. I was pretty surprised looking at the viewership of their videos. Like people talking about this game, viewership's not that great. Even Cole Carnage, like if you're aware of how he usually tracks, it's way down. And I think, last year, the controversy around it last year and the way that they changed the graphics and like the overall vision of how the game was going to look, I think it took a toll, man. I do. And I'm hoping over time, things will look a little bit more polished and it won't look so jank or whatever. But it's just one of those things. If you're into it right now, then buy in early. If you're not, then wait. Now let's talk about the price point for a little bit here. I was reviewing the video and it's like, wait a second, you didn't talk about the price point. It's kind of important. The game is $40 US right now, so that's a little high in my opinion, And so people are going to be a lot more harsh with their criticism if you've got a game at that price. I think it would be a lot smarter to be more like $25, something like that. But it is what it is. They're trying to get the funding they need to finish it. If you're okay with that price, you are. If you're not, you're not. Personally, right now, I'm not going for it with the holidays. I might hop in next month or something like that, check it out. I don't know. Things are kind of tight around here recently. I'm not gonna lie. There's not a whole lot of money to go around to go splurging on video games, and I think a lot of people feel that way. So I think $25 would have been a little bit smarter, but. That's just my 2 cents on it. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments. And then there's people that are upset. They're like, there's going to be a sub fee for this. And that's where is it? Somebody was talking about it. There's going to be a sub fee for this. And that's dishonest and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's not dishonesty. Because they've been talking about the fact that they might have a sub fee from the onset. Now, personally, I kind of have mixed feelings about sub fees. A sub fee, well, it keeps microtransactions, usually, right, it's supposed to, out of your game. So people aren't like buying mounts and looking all cool and everything when they haven't really earned it. But at the same time, me personally, I feel like it's a ball and chain. I feel guilty if I sub to a game and I'm not playing it like every day. I feel like my money's just wasting. Is it a little bit of money, like $10, $15, whatever? Yeah, it's not a heck of a lot of money. But it is what it is. It still feels like I have to be here. It's almost like a weird FOMO effect. So, yeah, I do like games that don't have sub fees, and I like games that do. It's just, I guess it depends. There's pros and cons to everything, right? Like, I like to play private servers for World of Warcraft, etc. And it's nice to know that my bank account's not being charged $15 every month. If I don't want to play that month, I can play something. Or if I want to play maybe just a little bit, I don't have to feel bad about that, But yeah, it's an interesting time seeing how things are playing out for this game. And, I've been following it this entire time, man. I mean, if you look at the original video I made talking about this game, it goes way back. And now to see it starting to come out finally after all these years, it's interesting to watch people and how how they're reacting to it. But yeah. What did I say here? Let's see. No. No, I don't think it's a crow fall, but maybe. Anyways, but at this point, I want to turn it over to you guys. What do you think about this? Down in the comment section below. If you like the video, make sure to hit like. If you're new here, I ask that you please subscribe. God bless. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.